Armada Book 3 Chapter 8 The Connected Part 2. After 15 days they were past the Bourbon galaxies more than 1 BLY away. They intended to move 600 MLY further back before swinging back and reach the back of the Bourbon galaxies 500 MLY. The drone scouts formed a wall separating them from the Bourbon galaxies 4 layers deep, with each layer 80 MLY from the next. Each line is 80 MLY from the next line. At any one time there were 1,200 drones forming the walls. 80 MLY away from the wall are a pair of scout ships, and from the pair 80 MLY away is the Armada, loosely occupying 80 MLY of space. One of the outlying drones sensed a planet inhabited by what looked like Norsets. Sending 4 drone probes towards the planet. Jenny said, "Position them 50 MLY away, look for gas planets and put them there. Scan for 2 or 3 more Norset planets. Maintain Armada speed." Tony beams in, "Hey cuz, the planets look like they have Norsets. Long-range scans in 2 minutes." Jenny said. The floating screens began to get clearer as the long-range visuals get focused. "There are Bourbons down there," Tony said. 9 Bourbon ships around the planet. Scans from the probes show there are Norsets connected to the ships. There are other aliens on the planets. "These are aliens we have not encountered," Jenny said. Rabina beams in. "Sir, the Inky scientists have developed a drone modification I believe will increase their effectiveness." "I'm all ears, Rabina." What the Inkies did was to cut the drones in 2. It basically splits in 2. The front-pointed part, which houses the control modules and the ordnance, and the propulsion module which carries the small energy generators. What they did was to put a small diamond-powered propulsion system that is more than good for the last leg of the drone's journey. The propulsion will carry the drone another 10 MLY before it stops. By then the drones are really very near the target, so at this point the head separate and goes on to the target. It would be virtually impossible to hit this small drone head at the speed it is traveling. I don't even think their scanners can pick this small item. Also, they made the diamond power source convert into a bomb, like our original pistol bombs. "That is a stroke of genius, Rabina," Tony said. "That's what I told the Inky team that did this. The modification work is actually very easy, since the construction of the drone is really a connection between 2 halves, the head and the propulsion rear end. They will be able to modify maybe 100,000 in the next few days because most of the Norset drone operators are doing it," Rabina said. "The scan shows 2 more Norset planets taken over by Bourbons," Jenny said. "That was expected. From the way they use the Norsets, I don't think the Bourbons understand how smart the Norsets are." "Rabina, any development on the chemical testing on the Bourbons?" Tony asked. "None, that is a standing solution. But a Bwofeng actually might get onto something. What he did was to test one of their native chemicals by spraying them on the veins that connected the Bourbons and their exoskeletons. One chemical seemed to mess up the connection, making the communication between the Bourbon and its machine extensions, causing movements to be delayed, intermittently moving, and sometimes extremely erratic. Their movements have no direction for several hours. In a few days, Billy's Armada has reached the target destination directly behind the Bourbon galaxies at a position 600 MLY away. He dispersed his ships and the remaining hop ships among the gas planets along a grid of more than 120 MLY wide. Slowly they moved 1 planet at a time and 1 ship at a time. They deployed the drone probes 1 ship at a time, 1 planet at a time ahead of the ships. They scan the area before they move. They did this using their drone probes and the long-range sensors, which can scan up to 600 MLY away. It took them 5 days to get within 90 MLY of the Bourbon planets. They stopped moving forward because they have started to witness heavy and erratic traffic along several routes between planets. At the mission room, Billy was repeating what the commanders had previously recommended to him as their plan of action. "Jenny, please repeat the scan of the Bourbon forces," Billy said. "Our latest scan shows there are 8,000 Bourbon ships almost evenly distributed in the galaxies that spans more than 80 MLY long. Our first task, as you guys pointed out, was to take down the ships, and to do this we need to bomb the ship engines," Billy explained. "Billy, in 1 quick in out 10 max per ship, all those ships will have bombs in less than an hour. I would rather not tag the crew because it would be very dangerous for our people. What I recommended was to use the Bwofeng chemicals to render them useless, then tag them so we can beam them to their planets below," Mila said. Tony nodded, and I would agree with Mila. The element of surprise will be lost if one of the taggers mess up or is found out. Rabina countered, "Or we can use the exploding tags. Once the ships are disabled, we can beam the exploding tags and beam them out. Explode some more and beam them out until they are all beamed out." "Jenny, are the ships assigned targets already for the quick in and out?" Billy asked. "Yes, all the Bourbon ships have assigned bombers already. The taggers will first target the Max or aliens connected to the ships. Are all units ready? Jenny, sound them off please. Billy said. All the ships say yes. Taggers first and tell the bombers to go ahead quickly. Billy said. Jenny, have the Norset identified the Bourbon leadership? Tony asked. Yes, their government is led by a council formed from planet governors. The council is led by a Bourbon by the name of Cisnetal or Cisnet. He is meeting with some people in the capital planet. Jenny said and showed the capital planet, then showed the capital city. Nice cities. Their power requirements must be horrendous. Have you identified where their weapon systems are, Jenny? Rabina asked. Yes, they have minimal armed people in the capital. They have at least 3 large military installations in each of the 80 or so planets they occupy. We may have to do a romit on these guys. Tony commented. As long as we dominate the space above their planets, we are good. Mila said. You want to talk to the guy Tony? Billy asked. Yes, Mila, Rabina, let's talk to this Cisnet guy. I want to look at their military installations. Jenny showed several military installations and the guys looked at them intently. The data says that the Bourbons have just united all their planets some 50 years ago. They have no enemies on the ground. Jenny, what about production facilities for their exoskeletons and warships? Rabina asked. Jenny switched the view to the factories that made the exoskeletons. Looks very modern. I'm impressed. Rabina said. You want to go down, Tony, or what? Billy asked. Sure, cuz. Jenny, tell the Norset hackers to go down also and hack into their systems from Cisnet's room. Let's wait a while for the hackers to get in. Billy said. After almost an hour, the hackers have broken in and have started to download the data. Okay, let's go. Jenny, please beam us to Cisnet. Billy said. Greetings Cisnet, my name is Billy, this is Tony, Mila and Rabina. Cisnet's security suddenly appeared from the hall and started firing at their holograms. They stopped when they realized they were holograms. I am Cisnet, who are you and what do you want? We are humans from the Maquis galaxies. You sent 6,200 ships to our galaxies and have used our people by connecting them to your ships. We would like to ask you to release all our brethren from the ships and from your occupied planets. Billy said. The Max are in no position to make demands. Where are your ships? Show yourselves or we will destroy you. Cisnet demands. Mila moved nearer. Look Cisnet, we come in peace and the last thing we want is anybody getting destroyed. We asked and not demand that you tell your people to release the Maquis. Or what? Cisnet countered. I think we are in the wrong footing here. Why are you doing this to our species? Tony asked. Your species are weak, you don't know how to fight, therefore you have no place in the galaxies. Cisnet said. Then release our species so we can all go home and not bother you again. Tony said. Jenny told Billy and the team that the bombing is complete. No, we use your brain to process information for our ships. If you are no use to us, then you must be destroyed. Cisnet said. Mila said calmly, don't you think you are being so mean about all of this? We do have the right to exist and we do not want war. If you cannot engage in war, you have no right to exist. You will always be used and if you are no longer useful then you must be destroyed. What can we do to convince you to release our people? Rabina said. You have nothing we can use. A military officer approached Cisnet and told him they could not find any ship within 40 MLY anywhere. Yet you cannot see our ships and you cannot shoot us. Don't you want to know how we do it? Billy asked. Cisnet, if we capture you, we will know. Cisnet said. But if you cannot see us or shoot at us, how will you capture us? If you cannot do this, how will you ever know? Tony argued. Cisnet told the officer to send out ships to look for Billy and his team. Okay Cisnet, I really think you should not do this aggressive actions until we can resolve our issues. Billy said. There is only one resolution and that is we destroy or capture you. Cisnet said. We come in peace and would like to clear any misunderstanding that may exist since we appeared before you. Billy said. There is no misunderstanding. You just cannot understand. You come before me and demand I do things I will never do and I tell you I will capture or destroy you. You just cannot understand that. Cisnet shouted. Okay, it is you who cannot understand why we can appear before you and plead with you and why you cannot see our ships. Billy said. Jenny told Billy the ships are powering up. We consider your actions as a declaration that you want us to fight you. Cisnet said. Not at all. Billy said calmly. Jenny told Billy and the group that all the Bourbons in the room have been tagged and the Norsets are not yet finished with the downloads. They also have bugged and put a virus on standby in their systems before they leave. Billy, we may have to do immuno on these guys. Tony said. Billy nodded. I am asking you for the last time Cisnet. Release our people or I will stop all your ships. Billy said. No, you go ahead and try. Cisnet answered. Jenny, beam all these people in time boxes and put them in the cargo bay. Let's go. Tell the Marines to put a time warp field around this room so nobody can bother the Norsets working here. Billy said. Billy and the group moved to the cargo bay and saw Cisnet and all the other Bourbons frozen, unfreeze their heads. Billy told Jenny. Billy started, hello again Cisnet. Cisnet shouted, I demand you free us immediately. Because you are not free you therefore demand that you be freed? You must be joking. Jenny, let's see some of Cisnet's ships. Tony said. Cisnet, I will now make sure your spaceships are of no use to you. Jenny please. Billy said. Jenny reported, beaming out all the connected aliens to sick bay. Cisnet sees some of the ships explode near the areas where their engines were located. Beam in the exploding tags and immediately beam the crew to the planet below. Billy said. Mila explained to Cisnet, in a few minutes all the ships will be empty of your people. They will not move from their positions in space and later we will move them into one of the planets and destroy them there. Jenny showed Cisnet the Bourbon ship crew appearing on the ground in the capital. Now, going back to our conversation. I want you to release all the Macs on the planet and bring them all in the capital city. We will now commence destroying your exoskeleton facilities and your weapons facilities and we will not stop until we get all our people back. After these facilities, we will freeze all the families of all your leaders until you do. Do you understand Cisnet? Billy said. Cisnet just looks at him in disbelief. There were Bourbon interceptors that were able to launch. The Norsets are targeting them now with the drones. Jenny reported. Commence strafing operations please Jenny. Billy said. Tony explained, as we speak, all 80 planets are being attacked by our drones. They will destroy all your exoskeleton factories and weapons or shipbuilding facilities. Jenny please show him the strafing. Mila added, had you agreed to our request earlier none of this would have happened. Now do you want to cooperate Cisnet? Cisnet just looked at her without saying a word. Even the other Bourbons were quiet. Let me show you something Cisnet. Jenny put half of these Bourbons in a time warp cage and spray the Bouffing chemical inside. Rabina said. Cisnet and the other Bourbons saw some of them float and land on the other side of the cargo bay. Then a mist appears inside what looks like a transparent box. The Bourbons inside started to react to the chemical and some of them moved erratically. Jenny, beam one of them outside its exoskeleton. Mila said. Cisnet and his group saw one of the Bourbons appear in front of an empty exoskeleton and the Bourbon on the floor moved erratically and could not balance or even stand itself. Now, do you want to talk or not? Billy asked. Cisnet and the others remained quiet. Freeze them all again. Send them back to the building but not in the room the Norsets are working in. Come on guys, let's get something to eat. Billy said. Did you hear my stomach growl cuz? The mess hall was packed although the line was not that long. Jenny beamed an extra table for Billy in an open space so they can have their meal. Jenny, are you recording and following Cisnet and his team? Billy asked. Yes, they are moving out of the building and going underground. Billy and the guys kept on eating but were eating faster than usual. Maybe Cisnet is not the boss. Mila said. Could be. He could not make a decision when we asked him. Tony said. Boss, do you think we should make some of the Bouffing stuff for the Bourbons? Rabina asked. The report said you have 20 tons of the stuff? You think you don't have enough? Billy asked. It just occurred to me. You know fear or instinct. Okay, tell your people to make maybe 10 tons more. Jenny reported, Billy, Cisnet has reached the bottom of the underground facility and he has gone into a very large room and there is a large Bourbon with 16 arms connected to a large exoskeleton connected to their systems. Jenny showed the room in a holograph. The other tables looked over so she produced several more floating screens so they don't have to crowd Billy's table. You're right Mila. We have a Queen Bourbon. Tony said. Or King. Mila countered. That Bourbon is huge. How large is it Jenny? Billy asked. The actual body is 15 feet high and weight should be around 4,000 pounds body only. Can you send the bravest tagger and tag that thing please? Billy said. The tagger will leave in a minute. It does not talk. Tony observed. Jenny explained, it communicates using the exoskeleton into their system. See Cisnet is connecting his arm into one of those round terminals. What are they talking about? Tony asked. Wait, the Norsets are trying to get in. Jenny said. King Rimas, please forgive me but the aliens have incapacitated our ships and are now attacking our facilities. Cisnet says. How can you let this happen? You have interceptors and battles ships in space. Can you beam a hologram screen in front of Rimas and show him the strafing, the space fight and the crew being beamed to the ground? Billy said. Yes, but the space fight with our drones is over and the crew is almost completely beamed down. Jenny said. When the hologram screen appeared, Rimas was surprised. What is this? Rimas asked. The aliens want to show you what is happening outside. I am now connecting to the public data system and I see that they have destroyed more than half of our exoskeleton factories and almost all our shipbuilding facilities. What do they want? Rimas asked. Guys, I believe that's our cue. Billy said. I'm almost done anyway. Tony said. That was fast. Let's go and face the big guy. Jenny beamed them in front of Rimas. Billy started, Hello Rimas, these are my people Tony, Mila and Rabina. The guards did not move or shoot them this time. Do you want to talk here or in our ship? Tony asked. Rimas says we can talk here. Cisnet said. Jenny, I want to hear Rimas talk. Billy said. Okay, we are here to ask that you free all the Maquis and Norsets or other aliens connected to your machines and that you stop your invasion of our galaxies. Tony started. Or what? Rimas countered. You do know that all your ships are gone and we have destroyed your shipbuilding capabilities and we are almost finished destroying your exoskeleton facilities. Billy said. So what? Rimas countered again. I think there is something wrong here. Jenny, beam Rimas into space and beam him back here. Tony said. Rimas disappeared and in 4 seconds he reappeared. He was scrambling to connect to the appendages. How was your trip to space, Rimas? Billy asked. Rimas was now able to connect 8 of his arms and is trying to connect the others. Rimas was visibly shaken. I think the fat guy is having a heart attack. Mila said. I hope not. Rabina answered with a laugh. I guess you enjoyed that. Do you want to go on another trip, maybe a longer one this time? Billy asked. No, stop. Cisnet, give them what they want. Oh no Rimas, I want you to promise me that you will stop getting other aliens and connecting them to your machines. I want you to order all your planets to free the connected aliens, all of them, and tell us where they are and we will get them. In fact, I also want you to promise me not to venture out of your existing galaxies for the next 10 years, at which time we will see if you can be trusted to leave your galaxies without messing up other galaxies. Do you understand, Rimas? Billy asked. Yes, I understand. Rimas said. Do you promise to do as we asked? Tony asked. Yes, I promise. Mila exclaimed, See Cisnet, your king is wise. How about the occupied planets in the other galaxies? Rabina asked. They are so far. Rimas said. If you agree, Rimas, we can bring you in front of your commanders so you can tell them to stand down. Billy suggested. Cisnet explained, the king can create an order which I can bring to the commanders in the field. It has the king's seal and only the commander of the ships can open it. Okay, do that and we will bring Cisnet and the king's order to the commander of the occupying forces. Rimas, you did tell the commanders to release all the connected aliens and return home? You understand, Rimas? Tony asked. Yes. Cisnet, take the king's order. Rimas said. Cisnet reached into a panel and pulled out a tablet encased in glass. It had connecting jack at one end and a round handle that Cisnet connected to as he pulled it out. Rimas, thank you for your time and we appreciate that you accommodated our request. Billy said. They beamed out with Cisnet. On the ship, Jenny put Cisnet in a time box. Jenny, it was good you put him in a time box. Tony said. It's SOP, why? Well, we don't have food for him to eat. Billy laughed and, Jenny, tell the ships to run several detailed scans of the planet and identify non-Bourbon aliens so we can tag them and remove them from the planets. Yes, they are running scans now. Jenny said. Jenny, did the Norsets get all the data from their Bourbon main data systems on where the occupied planets are? Billy asked. Yes, the nearest one is the one we passed before coming over here, where the aliens are species we have not encountered before. Let's start with that. Plot a direct course to the planet. Maybe we'll learn something. Jenny, have you ran a scan of all the ships? Maybe there are stragglers or leftover aliens. Tony said. Yes, we did. We can run a detailed scan again. Billy, my job here is done. I will leave you now and go back home. I will tow 200 of the biggest Bourbon ships and leave them along the way so I can convert them later on to hop ships. Fine, leave me here. I'm not your closest relative anymore. First of all, Billy, you are my closest cousin and we grew up together. I am simply too tired of your face. Fine, I too am tired of your face. The Norsets tell me they found something very disturbing. What? Billy asked. Tony, who was about to leave, turned to listen. They saw plasma cannons being manufactured in some facilities. They also found modified plasma pistols and rifles the data systems showed to have been manufactured and stored in some facilities. How did they get the technology? Tony asked. From the Maquis. Jenny scanned the planets for all plasma weapons factories. Tony, I guess you will have to relay this very important information. Billy said. The data has been transferred to your ships, Tony. I think we should visit Rima's again and state some terms. Billy said. Mila added, Billy, I think we should get them into a non-aggression agreement in exchange for our alliance and some technology they might need. Rabina commented, better leave the Bourbons as a friend than a potential enemy. I am sure they are now angry at the Macquaries for getting themselves into a war that cost so much to them. To also protect the Macquaries or to protect our interests in the Makiri affairs. So shall we go and talk to Rima's? Billy asked. Both women nodded. Hello, Rima's, we're back. Billy greeted Rima's. What did you want this time? We understand that the war was instigated by the Macquaries and now we understand that you are also very angry at them. We would like to offer a non-aggression treaty. Billy started. In exchange for what? Rima's asked. What would you need? Billy countered. An energy source and faster ships. We will agree with the power source but not the ships. Your ship structure is too weak to handle the speed. Maybe in the future. Ask for another one. Look, we will let you keep the plasma cannons and weapons. How about a metal very much stronger than your strongest metal for your exoskeletons and your ships? What are the terms of the agreement? Rima's asked. Billy explained, besides our original demands which you already agreed, non-aggression. Non-aggression basically means we will not fight each other. But we will not fight for you or you will not fight for us. That would be another agreement after we get settled with you. And if you agree we can start trade and diplomatic exchange with our alien friends. Look, you have a fine civilization going for you and all you need is a cheap power source that will propel you further. But then you believed some stupid Macquaries and caused all these problems. The agreement signifies that we want to be at peace with your species and you with our species. The agreement would be a start and we would like that the war engagement we just had be corrected positively. I'm not too interested in metals. How about information processing? We were used to using maquis as processors and you are taking them away. Billy talked with Rabina. Okay, we will teach your people our data processing technology, but this includes a promise that you will not share the technology with any other species. How good is the technology compared to ours? Rabina explained, your technology, we will consider as one, ours is like 10,000, maybe much more. The technology comes with data storage and even with your appetite for information, I don't think you will ever fill it up in thousands of years. It's really not comparable because the technology is very different. It's very fast and the data storage is very high. Although your technology in connecting living with inanimate machines is advanced, the data processing capabilities are really very slow compared to ours. Okay, for the power source and data technology, I will agree to your terms. Rima's said. Good, you are wise and smart, Rima's. Just the same, we will teach you the metal technology anyway because we think you will benefit from it specifically for your exoskeletons and ships. Bill said. Fine, you can go ahead. Tell your science people to assemble at Cisnet's office and we will transfer the technology to them and leave some people to teach them. Rabina said. I will do as you wish. They beamed out. We can give them the data technology that the Max and Inki used but before the Norset upgrades. It's still very much faster than they have but not equal to ours. They are also easier to hack. Rabina suggested. Transfer the fusion which does not use diamonds as storage. Billy said. I think the price for the piece you negotiated is very cheap. Mila said. I think we did pretty well. Later on we can upgrade them using the diamonds so we can sell diamonds to them. Billy said. For the next several days Rabina's scientists conducted the technology transfer while the rest of Billy's armada went to the occupied planets and brought the king's message. When they reached the 3 Norset planets, they decided to move the Norsets home rather than let them stay there. They were one of the Norset backup planets so their purpose have become irrelevant. They started moving the Norsets through the hops as early as their second day in the planet. A tenth of the Norsets or around 1.2 million requested to work in the 200 ships and Billy agreed. They encountered a different kind of alien species with the Norset in the planets called Vasitobs. The local Norset have learned the Vasitobs language so Rabina's people were able to fashion a language translator faster than usual. These Vasitobs were almost human-like with 2 long arms and 2 long legs except their body color is white. They have no hair and their heads are similar to Norsets, big but with rounder eyes like the eyes. Billy later realized these species who were as peaceful as the Max were brought into the planet by the Bourbons from their homeworld of 10 planets located more than 600 MLY away more than 100 years ago. The Norsets explained to Billy that the Vasitobs were an extremely smart species and they were the original species the Bourbons connected to their ships and used as information processor. Later, the Bourbons realized the Mac brains can process faster and take in more information. They did not realize, though, that the Macs have telepathic abilities which would have made networking and communications much easier. But unlike the Macs who can get hurt or sick on the job, these Vasatobs self-heal or regenerate much faster. They never get sick and their lifespan is more than 5,000 years. Rabina and the Inki scientists were immediately on to the Vasatobs. The Inkis were very interested in the self-healing abilities for the Inti side of the family. Rabina was more interested in their basic physiology, approaching them generally with the idea of more targeted analysis later on. "Billy, Andrew sent you a message," Jenny said. "What?" "He told you to stand down and wait for him," Jenny said.